Hey, welcome to Dreams in Action. Once again, I'm your host, C. Austin Brown. I want to give a high five, a fist bump, a shout out to all the listeners tuned in to this motivational channel. Hey, go ahead and subscribe and like. Help me get to 500 to 1,000 as we continue to share the message that impacts people's lives, that they can take their dreams and put it into action. But I'm doing a series of 5 things that I should have focused on. Woulda, coulda, shoulda, woulda. I mean, we can keep woulda, shoulda, coulda, woulda, we'd be shouldering all over the place. But 5 things I want you to think about and perhaps add this to your life. 5 things that I'm focusing on now. Certainly I can't change the past, but I can focus now. And those 5 principles that's gravely important to my life is peace, purpose, prosperity, people, and passion. We'll share that later. But this peace thing, oftentimes we can focus so much on the past of how we failed, how we made a mistake, or what took place in our lives so many years ago, even just perhaps maybe a month ago or last week, and we can ruminate over those things over and over and over again that it can begin to inundate us. A lot of the clients that I see today, folks know that I'm training to be a licensed clinician, a family therapist, to see people, to talk about issues of life, to help people walk through the valley of the shadows of their own darkness, despair, or desolation, to help them to live the life in which they have been born to live. And so, yes, I am studying, I'm walking the journey to become fully licensed by the end of the year. But most of the people that I see, the clients, and even in my own life, have had some past darkness and some past issues. But we as people oftentimes can focus so much on the past that we're messing up where we are in the present. And whatever we keep focusing on, we give power to, we give energy to, and it will disrupt our tomorrow. So what do? Well, first of all, is that you recognize that we can't change the past. None of us have. I know we may have watched the movies Back to the Future, and if we can rent a DeLorean or buy one and go back and perhaps change some things, if I were to ask you the question, if you were able to go back to the past right now, that one thing on your mind, what would you do different? Okay, don't go, deleting your parents. But if we were able to go back and change some things, what would it be? And some may say, well, if I changed the past, it made me who I am today, and so therefore my past is part of my life, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, that's true, but surely many of us would think, man, wow, if I would have made that decision. But here it is, we can't ruminate over what has taken place in the past, but what we can do is we can bring the past to the present, and here it is, we process it. We begin to deal with it. We begin to analyze it. Not so much whereas we have to, go back, when you were 2 or when you were 5 or 6. We deal with the past in the present, but we also have to begin to look at the future. Let me give you an example. I want you to write something down. In fact, I want you to go get your notebook, pull out a sheet of paper, go ahead and put it in front of you, get a pen, I'll wait. Okay, you got it? Listen, I want you to think of a time in your life where you were successful in anything. Let's say you made 3 free throws in a row, or 5 free throws in a row, or the time you graduated boot camp or AIT or OCS, or the time when you really did walk up to that girl and she gave you her number. Some years ago, I digress. But I want you to think of a time where you were successful or you have had some success in the past. You see? What took place? What were you doing to garnish that level of success? Have you thought about it? Did you get up early? Did you change your diet? Were you in better shape? Were you traveling more? Were you more social? What was happening in your life? Did you concentrate more? Did you spend more time studying for you to get the B or the A or the grade? What were you doing? Have you thought about it? Good. Then how can you do, watch this, here it is, do it with me. How can you do what? More. I love that. Let me do it again. How can you do more of that? Because if something has worked in the past that's successful, how can you analyze it and look at it and begin to do it again? Now, I recognize we have to become evolved, but success leaves clues. We evolve in our success as we continue to do those things. And so that's number one, is that we recognize that we can't change the past. You can't. That's just crazy. It's ludicrous, as my brother Bird would say. That's just ludicrous. It's stupid. Who does that? You can't change the past. But you take the past, recognize you can't change it, but you bring it into the present and you process it. Processing may mean that you may have to come closer. You may have to come see me. You may have to go see a therapist, another clinician. Find someone who you can work with to help work through those past issues in your present to begin to move forward, to process, to bring forth healing. So that's number one. The other part is, do you make room for your own grace, your own forgiveness? Listen, look, if you read the sacred text, any of the books, pick one, Torah, the Quran, the Bible, all through those scriptures, or even look at some of the successful people who we enjoy in our lives who came from redemption. All of them, many of them have some scars, some wounds, some mistakes, but yet they kept going. Can you find grace with yourself? Are we worse than David? Are we, that's in the Bible, are we worse than Paul? Are we worse than the woman who had the 5 husbands and the one she was with wasn't hers there? Yet she was able to go on after redemption to live an incredible, marvelous life. So are we worse than them? Can we have grace with ourselves? Can you forgive yourself? Forgive yourself. How do you do that? Well, I'm glad you asked. Go ahead. Let's put it down on a piece of paper. Put it down on a piece of paper. Here we go. On this side here, I want you to write certain things. Here we go. I forgive myself. I did the best that I can. I love myself. I forgive you. Come on. Start writing those words down, those affirmations. You start moving the pen. Start moving it. Start writing it down. I'm sorry that I left you. I did the best that I can. I didn't know how to do it. I love you. I appreciate you. I forgive you. I accept who you are. Start writing those things down. Over here, write nothing. You see that? We're not going to ruminate over the past. We're going to focus right here in the present. I love you. I adore you. I appreciate you. You are more than enough. Start writing those things down over here. Affirming yourself. I forgive myself. I did the best I can. All of those things. Now also, watch. Also now, as we talk about the present, I also now want you to begin to move over here a little bit and start writing about tomorrow. Tomorrow. If you were to begin to describe your future, what would it look like? Come on, let's do it. I have a bucket list. I have a list that never ends. And that's a good thing, because if I'm able to continue to keep living, hey, listen, I would love to live like John Morton Finney. Go look him up. He's a Buffalo Soldier. He lived until he was 108 years old. 108. Well, I pray to live, another 50 years. But if I don't, how do I start doing some of those things that you put on your list? I desire to travel to, back to Italy. I desire to travel to South Africa. I desire to travel just out of your neighborhood. You may be thinking, well, that's too big for me. Okay, if you're in Washington, D.C., I love to travel to New York, to New Jersey, to Delaware, to get on the bus. Let's write some things down over here. Desire to go back to school. Desire to do. Let's write some things over here. And now, how do you begin to make small steps toward those things? Listen, though. As I close, life is short. It is a gift, truly. I remember listening to one specific speech. This person said they died and went off to heaven. And when they were walking down the beautiful gates, the beautiful roads, opening the gates and walking down the beautiful streets of heaven, they would pass doors. And as they would pass doors, they would look inside the doors and there were gifts. And one door this person walked past, inside was that person's name on the door, and looked in there and saw the gifts and asked the angel, what are those gifts? And the angel, of course, says, oh, those were the gifts that you received, but you never opened. You never opened. I wonder if the gifts that we have that's within us can't be actualized because we keep ruminating on the past failure or the past mistake or the past issue that took place in our lives, and we're getting in our own way to move forward to receive what's for us. Listen, beloved, thank you for joining. Go ahead and like, subscribe, and go ahead and share. Stay with me as we rock and we roll and we keep going to impacting people to make a difference. Hey, this is Dreams in Action. I'm your host, C. Olson Brown. Let peace live in you by focusing on the present and letting go of the past. Hey, look forward to talking with you soon. Take care. Take care.